What's up, Recovery Warrior family? Guess who it is? It's Jay Rizzo. I know it's been a while, but just chilling, living life to the fullest, man. Got a new job, doing the damn thing. But I'm actually on a road trip right now. We're heading out. By we, I mean me and the brother Anthony.
Hey.
There he is. So yeah, we're heading down South Dakota. We're gonna go speak at a AA conference, and I know it's been a while, but man, I'm really busy with life, and the videos will come, and just trying to be consistent, man, keeping my wheels on the road, so to speak. But yeah, we have a little bit of road trip ahead of us, and I guess check back in when we get there. Anthony, have anything to say?
We're headed to Rez Recovery, Wakapala, South Dakota. We're both going to be getting our red sweatshirts today. Take a left up here.
Oh, we almost missed the turn.
We're almost there. Not quite, just started on our journey. But we're both excited to go share our stories once again for Rez Recovery. And it's an opportunity to be open and honest, and me and Jay know each other well enough where we can keep each other honest and remind each other, where we came from and what we've been through and who we are and who we don't want to be anymore. But yeah, this is a great opportunity. Anytime I get a chance to share my story, I try to get involved, be there. Not supposed to say no. You're supposed to say yes when you're asked to do these things, and just trying to stay humble.
All right, guys, see you in a bit. All right, guys, we made it to Wakapala here. Probably gonna go in and check it out. There's a few speakers here. We'll check it out though. Let's go see.
Unfortunately, I was raped by my mom's brother, and I told my parents here, and of course they called him and asked him like, hey, blah me, because he denied it, right? And they got
Takiapi ke wachipi wia machiapi he chante washte chuyuzapi chandi weji maku. God, just had to throw that last one out there. Hi everyone, my Lakota name is Dancing Turtle Woman. My English name is, my professional name is Katrina, and my street name's Anna. I got this. But you could call me Anna. My dad's from Kenel, Standingrock Reservation, and my mom's from Spirit Lake. So this is my story. I grew up with a good childhood. My mom was really heavy on cultural teachings, and so I grew up a fancy shawl dancer and a hoop dancer, and we used to go to all the elementary schools and teach the background of each dance, how the dance originated, where it came from, and what we do as far as moves and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I grew up, I grew up teaching that, and then also participating in powwows, and it was a really good childhood. My dad was an alcoholic. He loved to drink, and he would come home. He'd be good for a while. He'd be sober, and he was so funny. He was such a good dad, though. Like I have no bad memories of him. But my mom, she was sober. She'd play her bingo, and she'll sit there with her cigarettes, and she's a really good mom. And so I didn't really struggle with childhood, It wasn't until my teenage years that I was getting introduced to alcohol and weed, and I was taught right off the bat how to sell weed when I was 13 years old. And that's kind of how my whole my whole teenage years went, was just trying to be cool and sell weed, and I was a big pothead. And there really wasn't no heavy alcoholism until my adult life. I think it started with my dad, or no, my mom. She passed away. See, what bothers me is my mom, she didn't drink. I've never seen her drink in my life, but she died of cirrhosis. She had all these medical things going on, and with all the medications that they had her taking, it ate her insides. And so I had this resentment towards doctors. I still do to this day. And that's where it kind of kicked off. I was 21. I just turned 21. I felt so bad. My last memory with my mom, I got drunk for my 21st birthday, and my dad was sober, and he was one of those kinds who, like, if you get him started, it's about 2 months later, you know, maybe he'll sober up. And I felt bad. I felt terrible because it was my birthday and I got my dad started, and I stole my mom's pills, and I took off up to Bismarck, and my mom was living in Aberdeen then, and I left her, you know. And then next thing you know, we get a call that she slipped and she dislocated her shoulder, and then she got moved to the VA hospital in Sioux Falls. And then next thing you know, they were telling us she had cirrhosis, and she started bleeding internally, and she had pneumonia, and everything just went bad real fast. And I really carried that with me, you know, that guilt of the way I left her. You know, I knew she needed help because I was already helping her take showers, and she had to take medicine, and she had to be reminded to eat, and we kind of had to help her eat, and I left her like that. So I carried this guilt of if I was there, maybe she wouldn't have felt, you know, maybe she'd still be here. And so I tried to stay sober. I really did. After she passed away, we did the burial. I was sober for that, and then I made it 2 weeks, and I fell off. I couldn't take it. I just started drinking again. Next thing you know, I'm in a relationship with an abusive guy, and I ended up getting pregnant by him, and then we were pregnant again the year after that, and I was trying to leave him, but I didn't know how. Like, I didn't know how to get out of that. I felt stuck right off the bat. And so we moved to Rapid City, and I was going to school. I was doing good. Life was going good. You know, I was popping out babies and reading my book, and, you know, it was just, things were okay, you know. And then my dad died. I was almost there. I think I had 2.5 years of college under my belt. And my dad, he died in a car wreck outside Rapid City. We were almost to Rapid City. He was going to come. I just now got my Pell. We were going to go to Deadwood. I wanted to get a room, let him spend time with all the grandbabies, and just have this awesome time, you know. And they were at New Underwood Road, and 11 miles out, and they swerved to miss a deer, and they flipped, and my dad died. And fuck, I was mad. I was so mad because my dad, oh man, I'm the baby of 10, and I was the baby, you know. So whenever I lost him, I was pregnant then, and I was hiding it from my boyfriend because I knew it wasn't his. I knew that he knew, and I knew that he would probably beat me up and be mean to that kid. That's what I was afraid of. And I thought my dad was going to be able to protect me, but he ended up passing away a month before I had her. And there's so much that people don't know. My family doesn't know about that relationship. See, their dad was, he was molesting them. He was molesting all my nieces and nephews, and I carried that guilt too, and I drank over it. And it sounds stupid and selfish, but that's the way I coped with it, you know? But when I left him, I knew he had a warrant, so I was like, maybe this is my way out, you know, maybe this is how I can finally get away from him, you know? And so I called the cops, I told him he was there, and I went to class. And then I had my bags packed already, and I took my kids and I left. I ran away. And I was gone for like a month, you know. I met Alvin along the way, and we have a daughter together. She was the youngest one. And, you know, I haven't told my sisters about all of this stuff because I knew they would try to make me take him back. And I knew that they would tell him where I was at. And I didn't want him to know. You know, I wanted it to be over already. So I ended up finally getting out of that relationship, but it was hard. And, you know, at the time I didn't know he was molesting our kids. You know, I didn't find out till about maybe 3 years later. You know, my niece came forward and told us what was happening. She was 8 years old when she told us, and that bothered me so much. As a mother, you know, you think you're being a good mom, you know, but you're really not. If you can't see those things, you feel like you're just failing them. And that's what I felt like. I felt like I failed my kids. I failed protecting them. I didn't see any signs. They were just little, you know, they were 4 and under. They were 4, 3, and 2. And my niece was 8 when she came forward about it. And God, for a long time I drank over that. I drank and drank and drank. And I didn't want to be here mentally, you know. I didn't want to know that I failed my kids in that way. And it took me a long time to forgive myself for not protecting them from that hurt. But there was this time whenever I finally realized that it wasn't my fault, you know. There was this person I told, and she told me, she said, you know, Anna, it's not your fault. You know, people like that hide that stuff really good, you know. And so you couldn't have known. And I was like, okay, you're right. Because if I would have known, I'd probably be one of those girls on the news that stabbed their significant other or something, and my kids would have grew up without a mom. But I don't know how to let that one go to this day, you know. I don't know how to cope with that to this day. I don't want to talk to counselors. I don't talk about it with close friends. I just don't tell people, you know. And tonight I'm telling people so that I could start healing and I can start letting go and I can start moving forward with my life. But yeah, for a long time I was drinking over that. And then it was grief. Grief was my number one trigger. I lost my brother to suicide, and by that time I started using meth, and it was kind of a tie between meth and alcohol. Like I always had to have both of them. And at some point down the road, I quit caring about everyone and everything. You know, I got my kids taken away in 2016. I was selling meth, thinking I was cool. going through the res, trying to make money for rent and lights and food, and everyone knows when you sell, you ain't gonna make nothing back. You know, I didn't know that until I did it a few times, but this time was different. You know, like I didn't use it up. It was I was trying to be too cool, and I was showing everyone everything. You know, look at how much meth I got. You know, stupid. And then these guys robbed me. They took me way out there in the loonies in the middle of a blizzard, and they threatened to take all my money and my phone and everything, and I had to give it all to them so I didn't freeze. And then I had to hitchhike back to Bismarck, and by that time, the girl that I paid half a t-shirt to watch my kids, she left them with her mom, her elderly mom, her 2 kids, and my 4 kids. She left them, and for a long time I blamed her. It was her fault that they were in CPS. It wasn't my fault, it was hers, you know. And geez, I feel just terrible when I look back at these things, because I made so many selfish choices, you know. It was always me, you know, never the kids, never my family members. It was always me. And so they were in CPS for 4 years in North Dakota. And I was on my rant, trying to be cool, trying to sell still, and like, who was that? Somebody said snag. I had the ultimate snags on every district, and you know, I was just the #1 snag wheel, you know? That was me. And I had the stuff too, so on top of that, I was the plug. So I thought it was just cool, going around district to district, you know, and here my kids are waiting. I got a place, I got a job, I went to treatment, I got sober, and I was 15 weeks. I was so proud. Oh my God, I was proud. And just like that, my sister's like, can you come over? And I'm gonna have a housing inspection and I need help cleaning. Okay, yeah, I can come over, I'll come help you clean, make sure you don't get kicked out, you know, I don't want you to get your kids taken away like me, you don't want this, you know. So I went over there and I walked right into it. You know, my brother had a line of meth on a mirror downstairs, and I went down there to see if he was there, and he wasn't there. That line of meth was winking at me, and I didn't even ask anyone if I could have it either. I just snorted it up and was like, and then he came down way later, and I was like, oh shit, and then he was like, I knew I should have put that away. I was like, yeah, you probably should have put that away, you know. And I was fucking pissed at myself again, because I was supposed to go to my graduation the next day at treatment. They had a barbecue planned for me, and yes, there I went again. I was getting high, and I couldn't stop, and I had a place, you know. I finally got that home, and then I fooled CPS just enough, you know, on paper for them to give me my kids back. You know, it showed that I graduated treatment. It showed that I had a job, and it even showed that I had a home. But I knew in my heart at that time that I wasn't ready for them, that I was still getting high, and that I'm probably gonna fuck this up, you know, excuse my language. Sure enough, I got them back. I had them under a month, and I got a DUI with them. This time I was so devastated. I was like, fuck. Oh my God, 4 years, it took me 4 years to get them back, you know, and to have them for 1 month. CPS is gonna keep them this time, for sure, I knew it. And this was in South Dakota, Rapid City. And then I went back to it. I went back to using and drinking and doing the same old thing that I always do. And, you know, it started to get worse. Things started to get worse. You know, in Rapid City, it's rough. You know, you can't walk anywhere without somebody trying to do something to you, or somebody trying to jack you or beat you up, or there's always something going on those streets. And here I was walking around, you know, middle of the night, running from shadow people, you know, and it was rough. I'd sleep at M Hill, and I would go from house to house and sleep in people's cars, and you know, I wasn't even ashamed. I was, as long as I had something to get high or drunk, that's all that really mattered, you know. And it got to the point to where I was stealing jugs and trading them, and it was just getting so pitiful, you know. My morals were dropping severely. I didn't realize that the whole time. My kids are waiting again. You know, they're waiting. I don't know which home they're in. They're splitting them up. There's some in Brookings, there's some in Rapid City, and I just couldn't get it together. You know, I just could not do it. And my brother committing suicide, you know, that's what I kept using to drink and get high over mainly. You know, poor me. And pretty soon it was my birthday, and I jacked a bunch of bottles from Walmart, and I thought it was cool. You know, I gave my sister a bottle, gave my brother a bottle, and I had my bottles. And next thing you know, I'm walking with one shoe, and I don't have a phone, and I'm just roaming around looking stupid again, you know. And before all of that, I was always going to that safe bed in Rapid City. That's why I think our community needs our safe beds, because those are really important for addicts and alcoholics to be actually safe. You know, it sounds stupid to some people, you know, like, oh yeah, let's waste money on drunks, you know, but we need someplace safe to go to, you know. So I would go to that safe bed, and I'd talk to that detox counselor, and I'd tell her the truth, you know, like, I'm suicidal, I'm tired of getting high, and I'm tired of getting drunk, and I want my family back, and I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go back out there. I don't want to leave, you know. But they had policies, and I had to leave. They'd say, oh yeah, you're gonna have to go upstairs. It's $250 for eval, and the waiting list is up to 6 months. That's what they told me every single time I go into detox, about at least 10 to 15 times before that last time. And every time I'll do the same thing. I just go back, get high, get drunk, come back, tell them my pity story, tell them I don't want to go back out there. Don't make me go back out there. Please don't make me go back out there. So this time on my birthday, I grabbed a sheet, and I went to the showers, and I was trying to hang myself. And then they came up, they were trying to talk to me, and I was just yelling at them, and I was cussing at them, and I was telling them, you know, like, you guys don't give a fuck. You don't give a fuck about me. Quit acting like you do. You know, I came, and you look at your papers and look at how many times I put myself in this detox, and I said I need help, I need help, I need help. I don't want to do this no more. And you guys just keep pushing me out the door. You're not going to do anything for me, you know? And so they put me in the psych ward, and I didn't want to call my family. I didn't want to tell them. I didn't want to talk to them. I didn't want to talk to anybody, honestly. I just wanted to get sober. I was so tired. And by that time, you know, I was already on the waiting list for all these different treatment centers all over South Dakota, Nebraska. There was even one in Washington I signed up for. I was still waiting, and they were like, well, why don't you try Rosebud? And, you know, they said they'll have a bed for you soon, you know. And I was like, okay, let's try Rosebud. So I went to that homeless shelter in Rosebud. I was there for like 2 months. 2 months I was waiting for a bed, but COVID this and lockdown that, and nothing was moving, and I was like, God damn it. I just want something or someone to help me. And I just left. I got tired of waiting, and then I went back to Rapid City and fell off again with my sister. And then I have a sober sister too that she always would take me in, always let me stay at her house and get my life back together or whatever. And I went to her house and I was like, can you take me up to Bismarck? I'm gonna try Bismarck and see if I could get in Bismarck or Fargo or something. So I came up here and that homeless shelter, they put me in at Bismarck Motor Inn. Honest to God. Bismarck Motor Inn, I lasted 2 weeks. I was like, no, I don't want to drive you. No, I don't have a lighter. No, leave me alone. I don't do nothing. I don't do meth. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Nothing, 2 weeks I made it, and then fuck it. Somebody needed a shower, and somebody needed something to eat, and I was like, okay, yeah, go ahead, you can come shower. And pretty soon I was getting high next. I was doing meth again, and then it was drinking. And then I finally got that call that I was just praying for. And it was the care center in Rapid City. They said, we got a bed for you, but you have to be down here by this time. And I was like, oh shit. So I made it to Kenel, to my auntie's, where I'm related to the left hands. So I went to my Auntie Shannon's, and I don't know why God kept doing this to me, but my sister, she found some bullshit reason to be mad at me, and she didn't want to come get me. I'm already in Kenel. I'm waiting, I'm ready. My bags are here, I'm here, I'm ready. She didn't want to come get me. God, I just wanted to drink and then go out to my brother's grave and then just lay next to it and just freeze. Honest to God, that's what I was thinking. I can't make it. I'm not gonna make it, I'm tired. I kept talking to my brother, when you're drunk, you talk to your loved ones, and that's probably disrespectful, but at the time, you don't really care. It says, Keaton, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be like this anymore. I want my family back. I want my life back. So I stayed in Kenel and I was stranded there. Of course I liked it because she had black velvet and she had all this stuff that I like. And I was like, oh well, we might as well tinker and get high. It's the Rez, what else are we gonna do? 3 weeks later, I was like, okay, it's time to try again. Let's try again. I think I still have another fight left in me. So I came back up to Bismarck and I got in a relationship and he beat me up and gave me a black eye, and I could have went to my cousin's and I could have sat there and made her feel bad for me and drank with her, and I could have, but I was sitting at that bus stop outside that clinic in Bismarck on Front Street, and I was just sitting there and I was like, I don't want to do this no more. I was thinking about my kids, and now I can't visit my kids. I did video chats with them on Zoom, and I had to make excuses up because my eye was shut. I was thinking about that, and I was like, oh, I'm so tired. I went to that clinic and I was just sitting there because it was getting cold, and the nurse came out and she's like, do you need me to call anyone? And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm waiting for a ride. And then I just kept praying and thinking and praying and thinking. And I went in there and I told her, I was like, yeah, can you call Abuse Adult Resource Center? I need someplace safe to go. So I went there first, and I did it again. I tried to stay sober, and I stuck next to the advocates. I stuck by their sides because I knew that those girls, they were getting high and stuff. And I knew that I would give in if they bugged me enough, you know, so I would stay right next to the advocate so they wouldn't be able to ask me. Lasted a long time, you know, but I finally gave in. I got into treatment, you know, the last hurrah. You gotta have everything too. You gotta have the drinks, the weed, the meth, pills. You gotta have it all before you go in, you know. So that's what I did. I went to treatment and I was high. My first day of group. He's like, when's the last time you used? I was like, 4 hours ago, you know. To be honest, if I'm being honest, you know. And he's like, okay, well, can you handle group? And I was like, yeah, I can handle group. It sucked. It really did, because I was sitting there, couldn't sit still, and I just felt stupid. But I sat through it, you know, and I did good for about a month. And those girls in the shelter, they're just like, Anna, you want a line? Anna, you should just get high with us just one time. You'll probably pass your UA, you know, you're still dirty, so you'll probably pass. I kept saying no, And then, fuck it, give me a line, and then did a line, and then I was thinking about Mother's Day, and I think that's what kind of got me to this point to where I was like, start thinking about my kids, and start feeling guilty again, and start thinking about all that stuff, you know, all that trauma, and I didn't want to deal with it. Like, I knew deep down, they say that it starts up here before you actually use, you know, and it was starting up there. And I was trying to get away from the girls getting high, so I went with the girls who drank. Honest to God, Jesus, sign her up, you know. Went straight to the ones who drink. So Mother's Day came along, and we started drinking. And next thing you know, we're doing meth, and then we're doing pills, and I thought it was, I never did fentanyl, you know, I never was wanting to do it, but this guy told me it was something else, and I was like, okay, well, fuck it, you know, and it was fentanyl, and pretty soon I just almost fell down, and I was like, holy shit, what the hell is that, you know, I don't like that. I didn't trust him either, you know. So I was like, shit, I need to get the fuck out of here. That's what the fuck I need to do. This guy is no good. And so I had to drag my friend out of that apartment, and then we went to her apartment and we were crashing out. Well, I wasn't really sleeping, I was just laying there thinking. And I was like, shit, man, if we wake up, she's gonna get another bottle. And I knew that. I knew she was gonna get another bottle, because she was just like me, you know. And I was like, fuck, I need to get up and go, because if I don't go, we're going to drink again another day. So I had to fight myself just to get up and leave. And I went back to the shelter, and I slept, and then I went back to my treatment, and I told my counselor the truth, you know, I was like, I slept. And he's like, what do you mean you slept? You've been gone for like 8 days. And I was like, well, it started like this, and then it ended up like that, and then next thing you know, but I'm being honest, you know, I'm here and I'm being honest, and I used. And he was like, do you think you need residential? I was like, I don't know, that's really up to you. You're the counselor, you know what's best for me. I just know that I don't want to keep going down this road. And he was like, okay, well, sit down, you know, and I stayed in group. And I was like, well, that's cool. I don't have to go to residential, you know. And then next thing you know, there was this guy who came into group. He had this light around him, like a big aura of like happiness and joy. Just, it was like almost like Creator was right next to him. And he was talking about AA and Cap City and you know, all this stuff, the big book. And I was like, I want that. I want to feel like him. You know, I want to be happy like him. So I started going to AA. And my first meeting, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't that cool. It wasn't like, wow, I'm in AA and I'm gonna be all right now, you know. It was boring as shit. I was like, they went all the way around and they got to me and I was like, I have to talk? And they were like, yeah, just say your name at least, you know. So then that meeting it wasn't like a big thing, you know. Then the next meeting, little tiny meeting, and there was like 3 elderly people at a table. And I don't know what it was, but I started talking. And I started crying, and I started pouring everything out. Everything just started coming out, you know, like I was just letting it all out. And I felt a little bit lighter. And then I went to the next AA meeting. And I'm not racist or anything like that, you guys, but that meeting was full of natives, and I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be, you know. There they are. I knew I belonged somewhere, you know. And yeah, I was happy. It was so happy to see so many natives trying to get sober, you know. And I really like listening to them because some of them were funny, and you know, some of them I could really relate to, and some of them had it worse than me. And I was like, this is cool, I could try this out, you know. And so it took off, you know. AA, I was going to every single AA meeting, and I was on foot too. I was walking to all of them, you know. And I remember my counselor telling me, saying, to what lengths are you willing to get sober? You know, to what lengths have you gone to get high? Whatever you were doing to get high, you should do for your recovery. And I was like, okay, yeah, well, I used to walk to get the jug, so I'm pretty sure I could walk to a meeting. So I was doing that for a long time. And I didn't really pick up sponsorship right off the bat. It wasn't until my trip to Rapid City that I was like, gee, I better get a sponsor, because I don't want to go to Rapid City without no backup or nobody to call, or, you know, like I was going to court, and they were talking about terminating my parental rights, and I was scared, you know, and I had nowhere to go. All the shelters wouldn't take me, and I was sitting at the bus stop with a duffel bag, and I was like, this is like the ultimate fucking test, because God put me in the place I ran away from with nowhere to go, and they're about to take my kids away from me until they're 18 years old, and I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do, you know. And I picked that phone up, and I called my sponsor, and I told her what was going on, and I was like, I don't know what to do, but I know I don't want to go somewhere where everybody's getting high. Like, I don't want to go there. And my sister, you know, she pulled through. And it was weird because it wasn't the sober sister this time. By that time, my sober sister gave up on me, and the one that was still using, she came and got me, and then they told me about Zoom meetings. So I jumped on a Zoom meeting, and I got through it. It was so weird. And then when I got to court, they told me that I've showed so much improvement that they want to give me a chance. And they pushed my court date out, and they decided to go with reunification. And you know, that really made me feel like I was on the right path, you know, and that I could do this. And so I came back to Bismarck, and I stuck close to AA. I stuck close to anyone and everyone in recovery, and I chased it. I chased after every event that was out there. I started doing potlucks. I chaired a meeting. I was just doing anything I possibly could to make sure that I was in the right path. And then I signed up for school, and next thing you know, I was going to college, and I got a house, and it was so cool. Like, you don't see that God is real until God shows you these things that are so miraculous that you could never, ever possibly believe that this would ever happen, you know? And I remember I got out of the shelter and got my cool keys to my house at Tribes, and I was just proud, you know? I didn't have shit. I didn't have no furniture. I had the clothes that I built up in the shelter, and I didn't know how I was gonna get there, but I was so happy. I remember going to a meeting and I was excited, you know. I went to the meeting, I told them, you know, like they said I could get my kids back, like there's still a possibility, and you know, I got this house now, and I'm excited. And this guy came up to me from the AA meeting, and he's like, I got some furniture you can have, you know, I got some furniture for you that you could have for your place. And we went there to his house, and he was downgrading from a 3-bedroom townhome to a 1-bedroom. And he gave me all his furniture. And it was nice furniture too, it was MHA furniture. Shit, I was happy.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only part. Rez is gonna play on this.
So next thing you know, I had all of MHA sober living. They came in 2 van loads, and then all these other people from AA, they had a truck bed and 2 trucks, and I didn't even have a vehicle, you know, and it felt like a movie, you know, like they're all moving my stuff in. How do you want it set up? You know, they set it up for me, and I was just crying. Like I couldn't quit crying. Every time I turn around the corner, I'd start crying because I was like, how the hell is this happening? You know, like I've never had a sectional in my life. I've never had a bigger than 32-inch TV. You know, this was a big 60-some inch TV, and I had everything set up for me. It was so unreal. I still can't believe it to this day that he gave me all that furniture. And next thing you know, the social services doing home visits, and I just keep doing what I'm doing, you know. I keep going to class, I keep going to my meetings, I keep chairing my meetings, I keep up with my sponsor. I be honest, of course, and you know, not gonna lie, it wasn't all just, what did I say, canned beef and commodity cheese. It wasn't all that, you guys. Like, there was bumps on the road, there really was, like, because when you're in a home and you don't have your kids there, you get really lonesome, you know. And I really didn't have any friends, like real friends that like, oh, this is my friend since 2nd grade, you know. Like, I didn't have no friends. I just had recovery friends, and they were all busy living their lives, you know. They were all busy with their meetings and sponsorship and jobs, and so it was really lonely. And I really wanted my kids back. I wanted them back now. But God's will is different than my will, you know? And I think he did it exactly the way it was supposed to be, because by the time I got my kids back, I was ready for them, you know? Mentally, emotionally, I was ready for my kids. And they finally came home after like 2 years. And I was so excited. I remember when they gave my rights, they gave my permanent custody back in court, because it was on Zoom, and that judge, he said, Katrina, I want to tell you something that I don't really do often. He said, I've never seen a mother fight for their children the way I've seen you fight for yours. And we're all going to get up and we're going to give you a round of applause for your efforts that you've showed us. And they got up and they clapped, and I just started bawling. And I was like, that's crazy, you know? I couldn't believe it. And then it was weird, because I got off the phone. I got off the court, and then next thing you know, my kids' foster family. So yeah, I stayed in close relationship with my kids' foster families, because I know they're good support, you know. If I'm gonna be honest, my family really wasn't that supportive, and they weren't good places for my kids, so I kept in contact with them. And this one lady, she was like, do you have a license? And I was like, no. She's like, can you get a license? I was like, yeah, probably. And she's like, because we have a van for you. that the church donated to us to give to families, to, you know, mothers like you. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah. And then she sent me a picture of my beautiful van that's sitting out there, and I started crying again next. And here I was just happier than shit, you know, like I had everything. I was like, this is unreal. There's no way that this is happening. You know, I was waiting for something bad to happen. Like, I was waiting for it, but nothing bad ever happened. It was so weird. So like, I just know that God is real, and God did all those things, and He put all those people in my path, you know. And then I got my kids back, and I started finishing school, and then I got a message from my significant other. You know, he was really struggling, and it was really hard to watch that next chapter, you know, because Alvin, he's my boyfriend, and he's gonna be my husband someday, I hope. This isn't a proposal though. Anyway, he showed up, and he had cirrhosis, and he was really sick, really sick. And I didn't know it was that bad, you know. I didn't know anything about cirrhosis, but it was bad. He was bleeding everywhere, and he was barely walking, and he was pale, and his eyes were yellow, and holy shit, I thought he was gonna die at my house. And you know, I was like back and forth with it, like, I don't know if this is a good idea, you know, because if he's drinking and I'm trying to be sober, I could go back and drink with him. You know, that's not a recommendation, you know, to do that, but for some reason, God willing, it worked out for us. You know, he ended up in the hospital one last time, and he started going to meetings like I was, and they say you can't lecture someone to get sober. All you could do is show them the way. And that's exactly what I did with Alvin. I showed him the way. You know, I just kept going to meetings. Okay, yeah, go ahead, drink that until you bleed all over, and I'll be back to clean it up, and then, you know, you'll probably end up in the hospital, and I'm gonna go to this meeting, you know. And pretty soon he started coming to the meetings. And it was a big God moment right there again, because I saw how God could take someone so stubborn and so at his ends of wits, like, I'm a drunk, I'm gonna die a drunk, you know, just proud, and turn him around into the man that he is today. You know, like, I got to witness that, and that's a beautiful thing, you know. And so, you know, we've been holding it down for a long time, 2 years now together, and I'm really proud of him for that. But I graduated out at Tribes with my bachelor's degree in business, and then I got my peer support specialist certification, and then I hit 3 years, May 10th. And then next thing you know, they don't tell you that it's gonna be hard after you graduate college. It gets hard. I ended up, you know, they don't tell you that it's gonna be like, oh yeah, you fucked up your life, you gotta remember that, you know, like, you screwed up all those rental histories, so now you gotta find a new rental and deal with all of that. So I had to deal with all of that, and it sucked because we were homeless. After I graduated, we were sleeping at Sibley Park because United Way was full, the ministry on the margins don't take kids, and we didn't know what to do. We had 4 kids that we're trying to provide for and take care of, and we didn't have anywhere to go, and it was hard. And I didn't know if we were gonna get through that. I didn't know if we were gonna push through that sober, you know, like, I really was worried. But I kept praying, and I kept going to meetings, like every 9 a.m. meeting, every noon meeting, and we stuck close to our church, and we just kept our faith in our higher power that everything was going to work out. We didn't know that we were going to have to run from tornadoes all summer long, you know. We did not know it was going to be that hard, you know. But we did it, you know. And we finally got our place, you know, in August. We got approved for housing, and next thing you know, another storm comes. We moved in, and I got like this numbness and tingliness in my right side, and I was like, what the fuck is that? You know, and then they were like, oh, you better go in, you might be having a stroke, you know. I was like, oh shit, I better go in. So I went in, and doctors couldn't figure it out. Then they said, you have myelitis. And I was like, what the fuck? It sounds made up as fuck, you know? Myelitis. And then, yeah, I was in the hospital, and I was like, I got out, and I was like, this is bullshit, you know, because I couldn't use my hands. I still can't use my hands the way I want to. I can't write long things. I can't type. There's like SA joint pain and lower back pain, and then this last doctor's appointment, they found 2 disc bulges in my neck, one at the top and one at where the spine and the neck connect. And there's all these medical things that are going on, and I was mad again. And I was like, I'm mad at God because I had a plan, you know. I was going to graduate, I was going to get a house, and then I was going to start my nonprofit, you know, because I really want to help other people. I really want to give parents the ability to try to do what I did, but with help this time. I don't want people being turned away saying, oh no, you can't until you get $250. I don't want people to try to get their kids back and not know how to document things with CPS. Like, I want to do things that mean something, that help families. You know, that's what my nonprofit organization was going to do, and I feel like it was just ripped away from me. And for a long time, I was mad at God. I didn't want to talk to Him. I didn't want to pray. I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to go to meetings. I don't want to get a sponsor. I don't want to read the big book. I don't want to do nothing. I'm mad, you know? And I slowly started getting it back together, you know? It's God's will. All of this that's going on with me is God's will. And I may not be able to do that, but there are things that I can do, you know? And that's what we do now, you know, present day. We help people get furniture because that was something that meant so much to me. So when I find families that are just now getting a place and they're trying to get back on their feet, we get all the furniture together, and then we put it in our storage, and then we have like it all ready, and then we move it to their house. And then I started doing that with clothing too. Like I got this, it was like God was whispering it in my ear, and He was like saying, hey, you know, try this. So I made duffel bags with like 2 to 3 outfits and hygiene kits, and I was giving them to people that are walking around on the streets in Bismarck. And Alvin likes to fix cars, so I get to be that girl that pretends like she knows what a socket is. Socket wrench is. Yeah, I get to pretend like I know something, but I don't. It's really Alvin. But I help him work on those cars, and we like to help people, you know, anywhere we can, we'll help them. And that really fills my cup, because now I don't feel so helpless, or like for a long time I was saying like I'm fucking worthless and I don't know why the fuck I'm here anymore. You know, like I was in this state where, God, I want to get high. I wish I could drink, you know, because I don't want to feel this pain anymore. I don't want to come to the realization that maybe that nonprofit's never going to happen. You know, like I still have these thoughts. Nothing is just erased because we got sober. Like we have to deal with this every single day of our lives. And some days are awesome. You know, some days you're just right with God. You know, first thing you do is talk to God, and the next thing you do is you meditate. Next thing you do is you're saying, see you babies, have fun at school, and then you're doing service work, and then you're going to a meeting, and then you're talking to your sponsor, and it goes smoothly some days. But there's other days where I'm in pain, and I don't want to do it, and I'm tired. You know, I'm really, really, really tired of these goddamn storms. You know, but I know deep, deep down that this is God preparing me for something. God is telling me, like, hey, maybe you need to slow down for a little bit and let your body rejuvenate again. You know, he's telling me to be still and be patient, and there's a teaching along that, and I accept that. You know, I'm like, okay, maybe we'll rest today, and maybe tomorrow we'll help another family, and that's where it's at for me. That really, truly is where it's at. But if there's one thing that I do know is nothing is possible if I pick up today. If I drink or get high today, if I walk out those doors and I choose to go get drunk instead of go home to my babies, we're just going to go back down the same road. And that road is always, it never changes. It's the same thing. But I like recovery more because every single day is different. Every single day is like new people, new places. A lot of it has to do with God. Like God tells me it's okay and you're going to be okay. And all of these people out there are going to hear your story this time, and you're going to be able to reach one, and you're going to be able to plant that mustard seed of faith, and it's going to be worth it, you know? So that's where it's at for me. If nobody's told you that you can make it and you can do this, I'm telling you right now that it is possible. It doesn't matter what storm you're going through. It doesn't matter who's there by your side, because God's there with you, and it is possible. So with that, I'll pass.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
All right, everyone.
2, 3.
All right, guys, that was the end of the event. It was an awesome time. A lot of personal stories. I didn't record it all. I got one sister on though, but we did have fun. It's always awesome to come to these events. Cleaning up now. Got about, I don't know, 45-minute drive back to 48. It's always awesome coming to these events. I want to thank Rez Recovery for inviting me. Check it out, I got a sweater. Badass. But yeah, if you guys look up Rez Recovery on Facebook, shout out to Rez Recovery. Give them a like or give them a follow. They have these events all the time. You know, just a humbling day of experience, hope, love. Thank you guys for watching. You know, if you want to see more, hit that like. And if you really love the channel, hit that subscribe. You know, more videos to come. Thank you guys for watching. With that, I will pass. Love you. Bye.